table, ladies and gentlemen of the media, all other invitees, good morning. My name is Ryan Belgrave and I shall be the host for today's press conference. This press conference, of course, comes to you with compliments of the People's National Congress reform, and this is an indication that we are going to recommence our weekly press briefings. Let me at this time take the opportunity to introduce my fellow panelists. To my immediate right, or to the right of me, is the Chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, Attorney General of Guyana, Minister of Legal Affairs and Member of Parliament, Minister Basil Williams. And to my left, Vice Chairperson of the People's National Congress Reform, Minister of Social Protection, Member of Parliament, Ms. Valda Ann Lawrence. As I indicated to you, ladies and gentlemen of the media, this press conference is the restart of our weekly press briefing, and I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the PNCR to thank you for being here with us. Now at this time, I would afford the party's chairman to read from a prepared press statement.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Welcome to the People's National Congress. Our press statement, the caption of which is PNCR, 59 years and proud of its achievements. On Wednesday, 5th of October 2016, our party celebrated 59 years of service to the people of Guyana. The People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, started as a working class party, and we will never give up fighting for the workers. We can never forsake them. Our party has never forgotten and will never forget its duty to the working people of this country. In its 59 years of stewardship, the PNCR has proven beyond any doubt its commitment to nation building and representing the interests of the masses. As we look forward to our Jubilee next year, we remain committed to national unity and the building of bridges to all communities and groups which are interested in the well-being of the people and the progress of our country. At our recently concluded 19th Biennial Delegates Congress, it was agreed by consensus that our party must continue to engage vigorously in all political discourse, especially where the lives of the ordinary man is impacted. Delegates of our Congress raised questions and expressed concern about the Procurement Act of 2003. They opined that the procurement process seems skewed in favor of already established big businesses and mandated that the People's National Congress Reform, as a member of the six-party coalition in government, seriously and speedily address those areas of the law that restrict or make it difficult for new persons, especially small contractors and new startups, to enter into and be successful in securing government contracts. The PNCR is aware that small contractors need assistance in order for them to be able to compete and win bids for government projects. The party is committed to putting resources in place to assist the small contractor. With immediate effect, the PNCR will facilitate training for small contractors and individuals who may not be fully conversant with the pre-qualification requirements and other matters pertaining to the bid process. On a weekly basis, on a day and date to be announced shortly, a minister of the government will be at Congress Place to meet with the public. The PNCR Public Relations Department will be responsible for posting the ministerial schedule online and broadcasting it to the other mainstream media and the public. The PNCR is committed to managing the economy in such a way as to produce wider entrepreneurial and job opportunities and more equitable outcomes. The party will work to ensure that the bulk of the generated income and wealth accrues to the populace as a whole, and not only to a very small elite. The PNCR remains committed and will work towards ensuring that we all have a good life. A good life to us is about removing inequalities and providing opportunities for every citizen to be the best that he or she could be. That ends our statement for today.
Thank you, Party Chair. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, there you had the prepared statement that was read by the Chairman of the PNCR. At this time, the floor will be open to questions based on the statement that was read. Since we have no questions directed to the statement that was read by the Party Chair, I would ask if there are any questions that persons will have, and kindly, as I stated before, indicate your name and the media house that you came from.
I'm Wharton, Capital News. I have two questions. Recently, the PPP would have said that government has been involved in some 25 scandals. What is the party's take on this? And also, Mr. Nandalal would have accused you, Mr. Williams, of forcing the people next to you to sell their building.
Okay, let me deal with the last question first. I think that article said that compulsory acquisition was something unknown to the People's Progressive Party, say, and was only something that was executed by the PNCR when it was last in government. But of course, that is an erroneous statement. There is an act of parliament that allows and empowers any government for public purposes to acquire property upon the proper awarding of compensation. And that compensation obviously must be paid within a reasonable time to the landowner. Right now, the Attorney General's Chambers is engaged in a matter in which a charitable organization, the Borbis Bharati Sewa Sangha, which operates senior citizen homes in Borbis. They look after the elderly, and so their land in 2000 was compulsory acquired by the PPPC government. And they did that, they said, to establish and construct the Tain campus for the University of Guyana. So perhaps Mr. Nandalal, having deceived the nation, could explain what is the difference between this acquisition of two small lots that are contiguous to the Ministry of Legal Affairs building and for the public purpose of extending the Ministry of Legal Affairs, building another structure to extend the Ministry of Legal Affairs on those two small lots. And in addition to that, the nation should know that when we entered government, I inherited that proposal by the PPP to acquire those said lots. That was their proposal, and the staff that I inherited recommended that, especially when I was looking to establish a permanent law reform commission and a law review unit. They said the current premises couldn't accommodate such a unit. And in fact, in this budget, I had opted to rent a building, and we've already had expressions of interest for such rental. So the issue of the compulsory acquisition was something inherited from the PPP, and perhaps the problem Mr. Nandalal had was that he didn't get to do the transaction, because he raised this matter in Parliament when he saw this item in there, and I responded to him that evaluation was done by the Chief Valuation Officer of the government. And the money this project was approved by the Ministry of Finance, the budget people. It was approved by Cabinet, and it was passed in Parliament and approved in Parliament. So I don't know what the problem is. I know that he indicated to me that those two small lots, they were worth $600 million. So in telling me that and remonstrating with me, my impression is that if he had been able to do that transaction, having lost the elections, he was prevented from doing it. If he were able to do that transaction, then it would have cost the government $600 million. What is costing the government now is $40 million, $20 million per lot. And so I don't know what the issue is, but it's clearly that having lost elections, that we find that the PPP as a whole, they seem to be unhinged. And they just make these erratic statements and they believe that people have short memories and so they could say anything to the Guyanese people. So, in relation to the first question, they know that a large plank in our efforts to remove them during the 23 years was really the question of corruption and the question of scams. And in fact, it was under their watch that this word scam really took prominence. And I recall in 2010 that there were the stone scam, the milk scam, the law book scam, the Remigrant duty-free vehicle scam, the Cane Grove Consortium dam scam, the IAST scam, the wildlife scam, the export of dolphins scam, the polar bear scam, and now the Vaisuko scam. So they are familiar, they are the people who created this whole thing called scamming. And they believe that the Guyanese people have short memories, so they feel they could come now and make these wild allegations about they are scams. So we asked them for lists, Mr. Hammond asked them for lists, now they have produced a list. And you are in a position to judge for yourselves if what they have identified would fall into any reasonable category of a scam. And so they're just looking, they have the Congress coming up, they want to get positions, they're jockeying for positions in their party. And so they have come up to show that they could deal with the AP and even AFC government, but that's not a way to do it. And people don't have short memories, in fact, because they ill-treated this nation. They impoverished the majority of the people of this country. And the people know that we're a new government, we're having fledgling problems, but we don't have scammers within our cabinet.
So I suppose establishments. Two questions. First one is, what are some of the activities you have planned for your 59th anniversary? And secondly, going back to the issue of the land that was acquired next to the AG Chambers, can you clarify whether or not government is seeking to acquire both lots? Because as far as I know, it is just a lot directly at the corner. And secondly, can you say how soon works could begin to extend the chamber?
Well, I could take the first one and I'll ask Lawrence to deal with the second. Yes. Now, as far as I know, I was informed by the staff here that both lots were the lots that were proposed to be acquired. And in fact, the one at the corner is farther away from the building than the one that's closer. And so both lots, small lots, and as I said, there was no we don't know of any difficulties. I mean, the chief parliamentary counsel is the officer that has custody of the process. He has advertised, he has gazetted it, both lots have been gazetted, and they also, in that publication in the Gazette, the Commission of Lands and Surveys, or the Lands and Surveying Commission, they have been empowered to enter upon the land and do measurements and the like. I think after that is completed, the Minister of Public Infrastructure will send a notice to the proprietors that all this is required, the procedure under the Land Acquisition Act, the acquisition for public purposes. compulsory acquisition for public purposes. And this is an open, transparent process. So there's nothing that is under the carpet or anything that could be obscured. You know, it's a transparent process. And further orders will be made when the time comes.
How soon can we see the works to extend the ministry's building? And is there any way, or is there under any circumstances that you would reconsider acquiring Usula?
Well, as I said, that the acquisition, compulsory acquisition of those lands was something we inherited. And it doesn't seem to be, we haven't had any negative responses from Mrs. Bihari and company, nor from the High Commissioner to Canada, Ms. Larissa Reed. And so we expect, in fact, this matter came up because we are right now in discussions with the Ministry of Finance on the 2016-2017 budget. And the proposal is to start construction in 2017.
All right. Minister Lawrence, first question.
Thank you very much, and good day, everyone. Many of you would be aware that the party began its celebration with the hoisting of the party's flag on the 5th of October. And to continue to celebrate our 59 years of service to the people, various regional heads of the party will be embarking on several programs. In Region 3 tomorrow, there will be a program hosted by the party arm of Region 3 for senior citizens, given that we are in the month of senior citizens, at 1 o'clock at the West Demerara Secondary School. Region 4 at 3 p.m. tomorrow, and you're all invited. Region 4 began with breakfast at the Tamari Post Office, where they served breakfast to several seniors on the 1st of October, and they will be continuing that this coming week at the Clanbrook Post Office. In Region 10, I know that they are doing hampers for senior citizens, and Region 2. They're going to honor some of the senior party members in those two regions. Region 5 is doing makeover for party comrades and assisting them with maintenance and so on of their property. And the National Congress of Women, the women's arm of the party, will be hosting a tea party on the 5th of November on the lawns of Castellani House. These are the activities that we have on record that will take place during this period of celebration. And we know that there are other groups who are doing their own small programs within the various groups across the length and breadth of Guyana.
If your mind or if your memory takes you back to the press statement, you will note that there's an indication that we've entered into our diamond, or the year of our diamond jubilee, because we've marked 59 years, and now we've started looking at our 60th year as a party. And what we have planned as the Guyana Youth and Student Movement is a number of activities that will run from this year, going straight into the 5th of October 2017, when we formally mark our 60 years as a party. In the month of November, we'll be having our first annual athletics championship, where we will be bringing groups from all across the country to hopefully, by the weather holds, and we'll get to have it right here on the lawns or at the ground outside here in Congress Place. And we have a number of things planned, clothing drive that we'll be doing in the month of December, where we'll be working with those less or underprivileged persons. And in the year 2017, but we'll have a subsequent press conference where we will unfold all of our plans.
Hannah Duncan, HGP Nightly News. Just two quick questions. Minister Lawrence, I remember that earlier this week at Humaniana you spoke about plans basically to increase the amount that public servants are getting, that old age pensioners are getting in the 2017 budget, which is expected to be presented later this year. Can you say if anything is in there for those persons who are less fortunate, public assistance more so, if they can look forward to an increase too? And to Minister Williams, you spoke about the fact that the party will be having training for small contractors and so forth. This is going to be happening at Congress Place, but even though it is a suggestion that came out of the Congress, isn't this something that is going to serve in the national interest? And where is it done at Congress Place? Are you politicizing this that is linked to the government, because contracts and government in that realm?
Well, I'm not sure that I said anything about these sessions will be held at Congress Place, and in fact, the whole thrust of the press statement is that we will encourage the coalition, which is party coalition, to treat with these issues to create a level playing field for new entrants into contracting, because you must appreciate that the Guyanese people have been shut up for 23 years. And when we took over, we inherited rules that will make it pretty difficult for new persons to win bids. For the reason that you have the requirement that you must have had 3 years experience in contract, in the award of contracts and executing contracts, and then you must have executed a contract over a certain amount. Now, if people have been, the Guyanese people have been in the wilderness for 23 years because they were discriminated against, marginalized by the last government. If you were PNC, there's no way you could get in contract. If you are not PNC, but you were anti-PPP, there's no way you could get a contract. And so that qualification will continue to give the PPP contractors continued access to government contracts and shut out the people who voted for change. And the people who voted for change must have change. And so we are prepared to create a level playing field by certainly removing those impediments to them being able to enter into that bidding process successfully to win contracts.
Thank you, Minister Williams.
As I said a few days ago, when the seniors from Region 10 were on their tour, and I didn't mention that, but Region 10 did have an activity where they brought several seniors from the region to Georgetown. Some of them were inducted to Parliament on that day. They got into that building for the very first time in 70-something years and so on. And they were having a grand time touring Georgetown. And I said then that the APNU AFC government did make a manifesto promise of $20,000 to old age pensioners, and that we have begun to fulfill that promise. Presently, we're 1,800 shy of $20,000, and so we're hoping that the economy, and so would allow the finance minister to come with something that will be able to take us closer to that promise, the fulfillment of that promise. So we're looking on that. So yes, the ministry have made a proposal to the Ministry of Finance in our budget presentation. And also for those persons receiving public assistance. As a matter of fact, we have not only asked for an increase, but we've also asked to increase the number of persons receiving public assistance, given the fact that after many, many years, there are boards of guardians established in all the regions of Guyana, including the sub-regions. And so as a result of that, more persons who are less fortunate will have the opportunity to make applications to receive assistance from the government. And so we can very well see the numbers increasing, especially in places like sub-region 1 of Region 8, where we're going to have an officer station there now. We have one in sub-region 2 now, after some years. And so we're going to see that region as a whole, where they have serious issues, social issues. There we can see many applications coming to the board, and the board granting many persons in that region the provision of public assistance. As you go across the length and breadth of Guyana, we're pushing families, we're pushing children in schools, and many families, they want to do that. They want to have their children go to school, but we know that they don't have the means to do that. And yes, we're going to see more persons applying. And yes, I'm looking forward to the favorable consideration given our economy by the Minister of Finance.
Minister, just a follow-up. I know that you did allude to the fact that the increases are dependent on the performance of the economy, but would you agree with me that if I say what persons are getting in terms of public assistance, it is minuscule?
If you look at it as against a basket of goods, yes. And it depends on where you're looking at that basket of goods, whether it's in the interior region or whether it's on the coastline. But remember, it's an assistance. There are other facets of assistance out there, and what we need to do is untangle all the red tape and ensure that these persons are able to access those assistance. The government also have the 5Bs drive, where they're now providing transportation, school uniform, shoes, buses, bicycles, boats, and hot meals in the schools. All of these things are going to add to help to cushion those families in distress. And so we are working on other mechanisms to ensure that we assist as far as possible. School has opened since September. We're in October, but the ministry is still assisting families to get children in school through our probation officers. Every single day they are identifying families out there, and NGOs too, and they're calling into the ministry, and we're providing the necessary assistance. So there are several other things apart from public assistance. There is training through the Board of Industrial Training, where we assist the parents so that they can acquire skill. There is WOW, Women of Work program, where we assist single parents to have a little business going or to invest in something so that they can have a return. And then there's also the People of Work Entrepreneurial program, where we're helping single parents, fathers, married persons, widows, widowers, to give them assistance so that they can become strong enough to take care of themselves and family. So we are working, and we're also working with the disabled as well to ensure that we help them to utilize whatever skills or knowledge they have through these programs so that they can be able to sustain themselves. So it's not just the public assistance program. There are several other programs that we use to address the needs of our less fortunate persons out there.
Thank you, Minister.
Tracy Romano, NCN. Minister Williams, you spoke about corrupt acts and illegal acts committed by persons, but yet still, the person that these are being impatient that these people are not being placed before the court or are not being, as they say, thrown in jail. What's hindering the process?
Well, I think many reasons have been put out there for the basis of not having any charges. There have been charges, but the question is the quality, nature, and impact of such charges. And the last thing we heard was that we needed the witnesses to be protected. And so we needed witness protection legislation. This issue about not being able to charge because of lack of witnesses, we have had we inherited a witness protection bill. But when one looked at the bill, at least when I looked at the bill, and I got the impression that the bill could have been commissioned by Don Corleone or some other mobster. Because that bill provided no, we talking about the whistleblower bill. Because they go hand in glove. Somebody comes out and blows the whistle on a corrupt act, needs to be protected. And when you look at the mechanism that was provided under that bill for them to blow their whistle, that bill had 5 stops in the chain. So they had to go to stop 1, give their name and address and all the biodata and everything at that first stop. And then they're required to do so again at the second stop, and at the third stop, and at the fourth stop, and at the 5th stop. But the persons who are familiar with the nature of crime and criminality would know that that whistleblower would not be able to reach the 5th stage. Whistleblower might not possibly reach the 3rd stage because he would have given or she would have given their particulars in detail at the 1st stage. So there's grave doubt, having done that, whether they will make the 5th stage. And in fact, I was at the convention center when the Red Shred representative came up to me, because we published these bills on our website, and asked, what kind of bill is that y'all have? So we put the bill up on the website. And I asked, why are you asking? And he said, but people will be killed before they reach the 2nd stage. So it was uncanny that that person also observed the same point I made to the staff of the parliamentary division. And as a result, I decided that we will have to have an entirely revamped whistleblower bill so that it could weave itself into the witness protection bill. And that's why there was some delay, because we had to wait there, because these bills that we have, the SARA bill, witness protection, and the whistleblower, they are all bills designed to combat corruption, and in terms of the covenant, the Convention Against Corruption. And so we have to unveil them together, the SARA bill. As you know, we've had consultations on that. And on Monday, there will be consultations at Pegasus from 9:15 on the witness statement, witness protection bill, and the protected disclosures bracket whistleblower bill. And so the nation will be able to at least have a regime within which the allegation that people are afraid to give evidence would not be tenable.
Thank you, Minister Williams. At this point, we'll just allow for 3 more questions.
Mr. Williams, just going back to the issue you raised just now, I know at least one person, Mr. Amin Gulsaran, he had made the point that in some of these cases, there's no need to rely on the witnesses because the breaches are more or less legislative and constitutional. For example, in the Ashley Singh Nissel matter. So, I mean, is it absolutely necessary in some of these cases that you need the witnesses?
Well, I'm not privy to what Mr. Gulsaran said, but I would want to believe if you have to make a criminal charge against a citizen of Ghana, you have to lead evidence. I don't know if he's talking about if a witness had given a statement, for example, and that witness is no longer in the jurisdiction, if that's the situation he's talking about, because the Evidence Act had been amended to allow statements of that nature to be tendered in evidence. Obviously, if people died but had given statements before to the police, there is a legal regime that would allow such a statement to enter into evidence. But if a person is abroad also, our legislation had been, if you recall, amended to allow for video, given evidence by video. Y'all remember that? So I don't know what Mr. Wilson is talking about, but I don't know of any country where a person has a presumption, certainly in the Commonwealth, where there's a presumption of innocence before if being found guilty, that you could actually convict someone without leaving evidence in a court of law.
I mean, I'm not too know much about law, but I'm trying to figure out if forensic audits are done and there's pieces of evidence that were found and included in the findings, which leads the auditor to conclude that there must be a criminal charge, can the evidence that that person would have gathered be strong enough for you to pursue that person in the absence of witnesses?
But that's the point I'm making. How do you do it? How do you create a case against anyone without leading evidence? And in fact, before an impartial court also.
Any other questions? Well, ladies and gentlemen of the media, this brings us to the end of today's press conference for today, October 7th, 2016. I would like to thank, of course, the members